Hello friends, welcome to AstroChiron, the companion YouTube channel for AstroChiron.com. Or maybe it's welcome back if you watched any of the videos in the Ascendant series. This video, however, is going to focus on the archetypes of each sign. When I say archetypes, I mean that in this video at least, when I say Aries or an Aries, I don't mean an Aries Ascendant or an Aries Sun. I just mean someone who has a strong Aries energy. Perhaps a stellium there, or maybe even a first house stellium. That said, and hopefully understood, I can share with you guys what has been my personal experience with each sign. Of course, we'll start with Aries. Aries. My mother was an Aries Sun and Ascendant, and I've been fortunate enough to know many other Arians in my life, mostly women though. Aries is extremely positive in nature. I suppose it is a lot easier to be nice to others when you don't have to struggle with being yourself. I think Aries being ruled by Mars leads others to think that they're a lot meaner than they are, but maybe my Capricorn placements appreciate their straightforward and even brusque nature. Speaking of Mars, it is his influence that makes these people extremely independent, even to a fault. Mars prefers to skip all the fuss and doesn't like having to assist or wait on a partner, so these natives will try to do everything by themselves. They are opposite Libra, after all, the sign of partnership. Finally, I tend to find these signs a little airheaded. Not idiotic or unintelligent at all, but certainly and frequently slow to read a room or to pick up on hints. In fact, many Aries I know consider themselves quite dumb, though I think this is just a misinterpretation of their own bluntness and their dislike of secrets and doublespeak. Taurus. One of my best friends and a close cousin of mine have their ascendant in Taurus. Otherwise, I haven't had much experience with these signs. With them and a few celebrities in mind, I noticed that Taurians are very direct in nature. All that beating around the bush only prolongs meeting their needs while simultaneously making it harder to do. While not mean, well, not any meaner than Aries, these signs don't particularly care how you feel. This is never aggressive, so to speak, or even rude, but the mores and opinions of others don't affect them at all. Finally, Taurians love to be sensually pleased, whether it's Candy Burris and her love affair with food on Real Housewives of Atlanta, or maybe it's my own cousin and her obsession with a richly soft satin sheet until she was, well, very well up in age. And if it's not food, it's sex, and if it's not those two, then it's money. Taurus is connected to the material side of Venus, so Taurians are very concerned with their ability to achieve physical comfort. Gemini. I work in a bookstore, and as such, we tend to keep at least 3 Geminis employed there at any given time. Honestly, I think it may be a rule. That same Taurus ascendant cousin is also a Gemini sun, so she may come up here again too. Speaking of her, these natives are funny as hell. As if they can read your mind, Gemini seem to know exactly what to say to make others laugh. Their senses of humor are unique to their personalities, but they always can get a laugh out of you no matter how they do it. On the other side of the coin, these natives are easily set off, about mostly anything really. They're not angry people at all, but they're quick to react, especially verbally. There's always a rant waiting behind their lips like a dam ready to burst. On the bright side, these rants are often just as funny as their jokes are. Finally, as their ruler is Mercury, Geminis can't and won't sit down. They always have multiple jobs, multiple hobbies, and various means being socially active. Mercury prefers to stay very busy, so they oblige. Cancer. My mother is a Cancer moon, and there are several Cancer ascendants in my life, as well as a sun or two here and there. I'm also very Capricorn heavy, so I understand this archetype rather easily. Being ruled by the moon, this archetype is rather introspective in nature. They can crawl into their thoughts for hours on end. The moon is our purest self, which indicates that they're more comfortable interacting with the deeper parts of themselves. They want to know the deeper parts of you too, because this sign is quite nosy. They will ask a stranger as many questions as they'd ask their best friend, and these questions will be just as intimate as they would ask their best friends too. Leo. These are some of the most self-interested people I've come across in all my days. Selfish maybe, self-absorbed perhaps, but self-interested absolutely. They're not necessarily narcissistic in nature, and I mean colloquial narcissism, not clinical narcissism. Either way, the sun is the center of the solar system, so this energy comes naturally to them. Leos also don't beat the fire signs or nerds allegations. Sagittarians love broad swaths of culture, while Aries are usually gamers or sports nerds. Leos tend to have this one topic that really turns on their obsession, and it's usually creative in nature, whether it be music or shoe design or painting. My husband is actually a Leo ascendant, and I do have a couple of Leo suns in my life and a few Leo moons, who honestly I don't get along with because of my Capricorn placements. Virgo. Virgoans are usually brought into my life via other friends, except my husband that is, who is a Virgo sun. These natives are very altruistic, always lending a helping hand to anyone who needs it. That aside, they will readily know how much you're putting them out of their way if you seem ungrateful. They're also rather critical, which I feel is a common observation for this sign. Sometimes these critiques are given constructively, sometimes they very well are not. Again, it depends on how you meet them. Finally, I notice people always describe Pisces as ethereal, but I'd argue that this extends to Virgo as well. They look amazing in all white, they're so helpful that calling them angels on earth wouldn't be too far off base, and their ability to perceive everything around them seems to be almost omniscient. They notice every single thing, especially those that don't belong or things that can be improved in quality. This video is brought to you by me. I am the astrologer behind AstroChiron.com, the one-stop shop for all astrological readings, articles, horoscopes, and art. I have a free ask feature that you can use for quick questions that I will respond to via blog post. Readings range from $25 to $200, whether you want 3 questions answered in detail, all the way to a thorough hour-long or more reading for me personally via phone or video chat, discussing your entire natal chart, the aspects within it, and each planet's placement. The first 20 subscribers to this channel will gain access to all 20+ written and live readings at a 40% off discount. Again, that's AstroChiron.com, AstroChiron.com. Don't forget the hyphen, and join our community today. Libra. Both brothers I grew up with are Libras. I learned a lot from Libras, mostly how to argue. A few of my friends also have Libra moons. Librans are talkative and funny, despite their demure demeanor. In fact, I'd argue that they have about the same comedic timing as Capricorns do. They typically use this humor to lighten the mood, nothing like a good joke to ease past an awkward moment. Don't be confused though, they're not trying to relieve your tension, they simply hate conflict. Finally, Librans are very indecisive, especially the moon signs. Venus loves to weigh her options and Librans will review every single one. Scorpio. I have a severe lack of Scorpio placements in my life. I only have one friend with a Scorpio sun, so much of this is based on observation of them, as well as the few I've come across in my life. I do also have a Scorpio midheaven. In my experience, keeping Scorpio midheaven in mind, Scorpios are very easy to talk to. I figure it's because they face so much inner turmoil, external issues are never much of a problem for them. Many people may avoid conversations with Scorpio though, as they're really intense conversation partners. There's a great deal of eye contact and the conversation may meander into territory that makes you uncomfortable. They aren't just talking to you, they're trying to really connect with you. Finally, these natives rely on their own moral code. They can come off as pretty hypocritical because of this though, as they may not follow the mores or rules of the society around them. Sagittarius. I have a Sagittarius moon myself, as does my husband, and my father is a Sagittarius sun. Otherwise, I do have a few Sag influenced friends as well. In my experience, Sagittarians are often relatively tolerant people. They can tend toward holier than thou-ness, but their general vibe is, if you like it, I love it. This makes them accepting and friendly in nature, even though they can be known for arrogance. These folks are usually well experienced and intelligent, so they can come off as enjoying their higher status in such matters. They love talking about what they know. Mutable through and through, these natives are rather flaky. Jupiter gives them an optimistic outlook on how much time is needed to get things done, including the plans they made with you. Capricorn. Beside my Capricorn sun and ascendant, there aren't too many Capricorn placements in my life. I have a theory that we repel each other like magnets with like poles. Or maybe it's because we're all aloof snobs. I'm not saying we're mean, but we all have a sort of standard regarding who we will associate with. We are fine with being perceived as being above the fray, and that's mostly because we are. Mind you, I don't think I'm better than anyone, but I know that I can only tolerate certain flaws in others. That aside, Capricornians are very funny, despite how boring and dry most people think we are. We're mostly dark comics with deadpan senses of humor, so to those not paying attention we can seem quite cynical. And that comedic timing, unparalleled. Finally, we exhibit a sense of childishness that seems to offset our apparent seriousness. Due to Saturn's influence, we tend to age backward. The older and more responsible we feel, the freer we become. Aquarius. Speaking of Saturn's influence, Aquarians are also Saturn's children. Perhaps this is why they're so aspirational. A longtime best friend of mine is an Aquarius sun, and I find myself seeing Aquarian ascendants pop up in my life every now and again. These natives will talk to literally anyone. Even the more antisocial Aquarians are able to connect with people they just met, even if they have to lie to do it. Now, despite all this wonderfulness, these are some of the most inconsiderate people I've ever encountered. Their sense of time is skewed by their ruler Uranus, and the boundaries that their traditional ruler Saturn allows them to set further distances them from the needs and wants of others. Pisces. Last but far from least, we have Pisces placements. I've worked with a few Pisceans and been around a few more socially. These are some pretty polarizing folks. What with their extreme altruism paired with their reliance on excess and confusion. These natives are appreciative in nature, going out of their way to show thanks while also making you feel very comfortable if you're impeding upon them somehow. Their vibe is always, I'm just happy to be here, but this often leads them into situations that they really shouldn't be in. Finally, Pisceans can be extremely hard to rely on. Neptune makes them a little delusional and very much scattered, so asking them to show up for you often leads to both yours and their disappointments. So this was how I feel or have felt about each of these sign archetypes. None of this is fact, obviously, and you should keep in mind my own placements when taking in these opinions. My Capricorn Sun, Mercury and Ascendant, and my Sagittarius Moon and Venus are much more likely to be annoyed or distantly intrigued by the younger signs or the ones earlier in the zodiac. I would love to know why you think I'm wrong about any of these archetypes, most especially if you can explain my findings from your point of view as a holder of any of these placements. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you're new here, go watch the Ascendant series. I mean, that's literally the only other thing on the channel. If you've seen those already, first of all, thank you. And second of all, you should stay tuned for the next series. This one focused on sun signs, and it will follow the mode of the Ascendant series. Instead of focusing on the lives and circumstances of celebrities who hold each sign, we will be focused a lot more on their looks and the roles that they take on in their lives. I'm sure there'll be another video before we get to that series though, just haven't figured out which one yet. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications to keep up with the community. New videos every Thursday, the best day of the week, mostly because of my videos. Thank you guys, and much love.